again, light condolences go to their families. But like the word said, they're better off than we are. When you think about it, what hurts the most is that we won't see them again. They won't be here with us. We're suffering. Yeah. We're suffering. But as long as you got God, it's gonna be all right. With God, whatever it is, it's gonna be all right. When you truly have God, whatever it is, it's gonna be all right. Because you don't know that's God's will.
Yes, yes, yes. It is the Castworthy podcast, and we are back at you. It is Sunday, April 11th. I am Big Steve, aka Last of a Dying Breed, on the Twitter machine. Joined today by EJ the Savage and the VP of Research. And it's been an emotional week this week, man. We had ups, we had downs, we had good times, we had bad times, we had good news, we had bad news, man. Um, let's get right into it, man. How you boys doing before we get started?
All is well. Can't complain.
Same old shit, just a different day.
Fighting through this damn pandemic still. Hopefully getting towards the third quarter of it, maybe third or fourth quarter of it.
How are you, my brother? You asked us, but you didn't say.
I mean, I'm all right, man. I'm all right. It's like I said, man. It's just been an emotional week. You know, we had the verses last week, um, and we had Earth, Wind, and Fire versus Isley Brothers, which we'll get into for sure. And then of course the passing of DMX came out a few days later. And so I just think, when music for me personally um brings back memories and thoughts and experiences and stuff like that, right? And it just sometimes it makes you, it brings you to a place where um things might have been better or not. So I think of the Isleys versus Earth, Wind, and Fire. Earth, Wind, and Fire was, my father's favorite group. And their music was some of his favorite music. So listening to that and then going back and listening to the playlist on rides to and from work, brought thoughts of him, brought happy times, brought sad times, and of course, the inability to share that event with him, inability to, see his face light up when he hears or heard, Earth, Wind, and Fire. Of course, changed things. And then we get into DMX, man, and you know, I think for people my age and my generation, and maybe even your generation, EJ,
Brother, we
In the
we're
same
not
generation.
we're in the same generation, champ. Like
well, so what I mean is, where you the time frame in which DMX came out, right? So time frame in which DMX came out, um, our age, 4 years or older, 4 or 5 years older, me and Vari, were probably in the peak time or a very fun time of our lives in high school, right? And so that's why I say I know DMX was around, you know, for individuals in your age group, a few years younger. Um, but him coming on the scene, like we were just in the peak. I mean, I know I was just in the peak of the fun of my young life. So Lots of memories, lots of stuff that took place. When that stuff came out, when It's Dark and Hell is Hot came out, it was just different, man. It was different times, different and you just start to think about how distant people have grown over time. And of course, when somebody is a musician where you play a lot of their music during a certain period of your time, it is going to be impactful. I didn't think so. I don't, for me, people have died all year, right? That's been kind of like fucking the soundtrack to 2020 and 2021 is rest in peace this person, rest in peace that person. You know what I mean? I don't know. DMX kind of hit a little different, and I don't know why. You know what I'm saying? I just it bothered me a little bit. It was weird that it actually bothered me. So I don't know how you guys felt about it, but and maybe it was because DMX was just so loved. Like, this dude never had beef with nobody. This guy was never really negative,
Mm,
in
not quite.
in the open. I'm not saying he didn't rob and cheat and beat people up and
No,
shit
I
like
mean we
that, but
talking about rap beef. He definitely hated Ja Rule at one point.
yeah, but they never beef. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying he definitely I think he opened that door for 50 to step through to continue on kind of where he let it go and the powers that be told him to chill. He struck a huge blow on his former friend just for rap
Maybe,
purposes.
maybe so. But yeah, man, just an interesting week. You know, obviously with DMX, a lot of people pair him with Aaliyah, right? And you start to see that, and it's just death all over the place, man. It's crazy. It's just crazy. It's out of control, man. People are just we're at the age now where you start to see people dying, man. And before it was elders and stuff like that, and now it's just a little different, man. So,
I think it
um,
also hits a little different too because of the nature of what we've been dealing with over the last year with the pandemic. And you know, back when certain people died, like I remember when Aaliyah died and then Left died, and they were somewhat in the same time frame or whatever, but nothing else was really happening, right? So you still were living your life, going out, going to work, things like that. And now, because we're still in the midst of the pandemic, most people are working from home. A lot of people I know, me and you, are trying to practice the social distancing as much as possible, and so it's like you're home, there ain't shit on TV, you've seen everything that's come out or whatever, and so you're just digesting news, and it's like, shooting over here, shooting over there, this person was kidnapped, this person was killed, hate crimes against Asians, and this person died, that person died, this person died, that person died, and it's just like there's no break from reality, where maybe some terrible shit happened in the news, but then you're gonna go out on Saturday and play with your kid at Disney World, and maybe you and your wife go to dinner, or something like that, to kind of escape from all of the madness or whatever. So it's like 24/7 for over a year straight of just incoming shit, and so I think that's partly why it hits different.
Well, I mean, um, yeah, and for me, I'm to the point where I'm seeing so many people I know, pass away, and it never gets easy, and but just speaking to not necessarily how I feel, but just the impact that is DMX. 1998. Even though he had some joints before then. I was growing up in New York metropolitan area, and we had access to the mixtapes, we had access to the radio. We could hear that stuff before a lot of the rest of the world got it. And in 1998, man, that was just a supreme class. You had Cameron, one of my favorites, Big Pun, one of my favorites as well, Nori, and then you had DMX. You had this guy who put out two monumental records back to back, and then even followed with the third one, and then there was X. So you had three straight albums in which pure heat was delivered, man. And being a young guy that age, you know, running around with other people older and younger and same age as me, just running around in the streets. We connected with that guy very, very strongly.
Yeah.
And I was playing the music last night, and it just was taking me back to those days. And I remember bootlegging at least two of those albums. Thanks to you actually, Steve. But yeah, man, you just I think with him and all of the pain and stuff that he's been through, I think it's more comfort than anything, because that brother, was constantly living in mental anguish,
Yeah.
and now we really know that, he's one of God's angels for real.
Yeah,
If
I
you
mean,
believe in
for
that thing.
yeah, I was gonna say for spiritual people, for people who do believe in, afterlife and believe in, God and a higher power. Uh, there's nobody else that you can say was more to that than DMX. Stuck to that all the time. Like it wasn't on Sundays, it wasn't on Easter, it wasn't today and then tomorrow. Fuck it. Like he been spitting that shit since he came out. And when you talk about his albums, two number one albums, first rapper to do that. Um, Fire, straight fire on those albums, not little fucking 10-track albums like niggas is putting out today. um Add to that, the life that this guy went through, man, being in the system from the time he was 7 years old, you know getting locked up or going to juvie at 7, right, doing 3, 4, 5, 6 bids before the time he even became a teenager, before he even started his Rough Riders career, because it was necessary, right? Not just because he want to clout chase, not because he want to be on Instagram, not because he's doing it for Facebook and Snapchat and shit like that, but because that's what had to be done back then, for kids, unfortunately. And obviously, we were fortunate enough not to have to live that life, right? The life that we did live in the dirt that we did do allegedly was almost for sport in comparison to people that had to do it for survival, and he was one of those people. And you heard it in his music, and like you said, the pain that we've seen him go through over years, um I don't want to get into anything negative, so I won't talk about any addictions or anything like that, but it's important to understand that people that have addiction, and people that have mental health issues, whatever that may be, depression, etc. We talked about it last week in depth, so don't want to get too deep into it. It's important for those wellness checks, those health checks, people to check on your people, check on your family, and shit like that. Um, I will say, got to shout out to Swiss. Swiss has always held DMX down. Obviously, like we said last week, without DMX, there may not have been a Swiss or a Rough Riders. But, I'm really happy that we got to see him on Versus. I'm really happy that this guy was able to get his flowers. I'm really happy that people that may not have been super familiar with his catalog got to hear it and see people of our age celebrate him, in the comments on social media. In addition to that, the deal that Swiss and Tim did, you know, there's going to be funding coming from the Triller deal that will go to his kids. So lots of stuff happened this last year to set him up, help him out a little bit. In addition to a deal that he made where Jay-Z cleaned out some of his debt. I was reading that yesterday, $12 million based on a deal that he made, which makes the album and the documentary that he allegedly finished before passing. Um, he's not owing that money to anybody, right? And then it also came out that Jay-Z and Beyonce are doing their part in purchasing back his masters, so that any of the funding that comes from that goes to his kids. I think DMX was just revered by everybody, by people that were fans, by people in the industry, in the business, and it, it's He was a different cloth, man, different breed, different cloth, and you saw a lot of people try to mold themselves after it, but he was the same dude, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, from what what we saw on the surface and what people say.
Yeah, just a point of fact. I don't know that the Masters part is confirmed to be true, but I know the debt that Jay Z paid was to bail out, the Rough Riders back when they were on Def Jam, which then allowed them to get a little more freedom to keep the banging going. But I think definitely on the back half of his career, like you said, with the verses and everything, he couldn't be more happy, and doing what he was doing. And those, we still haven't gotten all of the information, cause and all of that stuff, but we know what was rumored and everything. But I think you summed it up pretty well, man. He was a breed of his own, and just it's never going to be another X, man. He was the biggest. He was the biggest guy from '98 to 2001. A lot of people won't admit it, but he was the biggest guy. At that time, man. Them three albums alone, just game changers, man. Incredible.
Yeah, man. Unfortunately, the heart attack took him out. You know, um, it is what it is. It sucks. It sucks. And that's another thing, man. We got to just live for the moment. It's another thing that you learn from 1 minute to the next. You never know what the fuck's gonna happen, man. You can find yourself in a state of, a state where you can't think for yourself. A state where you can no longer enjoy all this shit that we got. The money that we got, the fucking whatever you have, right? You gotta live for it, man, and make sure that your family gets the most out of you each day. So
Indeed.
yeah, man, most definitely. So rest in peace to DMX, man. Earl Simmons. I'm sure Yonkers is turning up, and like you know, anytime you hear a DMX song is gonna be popping. I'm sure moving forward. But yeah, let's. I remember how shit used to hit when one of his tracks came on. Just in general, oh my lord, it was just it was crazy. And even still today, we see that.
And that was the thing that was most pleasing for me, because I still listen to '90s stuff like constantly. So it's not a time that I'm not listening to it. But I hadn't sat through, and then there was X by itself in a long time. Like I usually have playlists that have something from Flesh of My Flesh or It's Dark, but to sit down and listen all the way through to, and then there was X, I was expecting that it would age on me to some degree, because I still remember the songs lyric for lyric, but it's like to listen to it and it's like, okay, while I still hear the age to it, I'm like, okay, it's still hard, so to make timeless music is that platinum records, that platinum sound, that true platinum sound. And that for this guy to have been that dark and to have said the things that he was saying, like I know all three of our favorite tracks, one of our favorite tracks is The Professional. And just to hear the wittiness of it and then actually believe probably 50% of that might have been true, um was it was just crazy just to listen to the detail of it. Like, I was there, he ain't died at the top of the steps. Like, that's some
Hmm.
crazy, what I mean? It's just, it's crazy how nice this guy was. And like you said, everybody loved him, man. Just looking at the videos and just everything. Just, he was a real dude. If you want to talk about what this generation of kids might need, they need somebody like that. That ain't just, putting on for the clout, like you said, that ain't putting on for the corporations, that are literally telling you, I got flaws too. You know what I'm saying? But millions of people love me, and I'm gonna stay who I am. If we need something like that more than ever today. And it's crazy. I don't think these kids after us will be able to understand how real that was. I mean, shit, people, our generation didn't understand it and took it for granted. And I don't think we really got to really understand it until we became adults, you know?
Yeah. I don't think we got to enjoy what DMX was doing, you know. Um, I mean, the dude was on R&B tracks. Like, how a dude raspy as hell get on an R&B track with fucking, Aaliyah and others, and have you like, oh shit, listen to this guy, Um, and he just always came on crazy, crazy. Dropped some shit on him. So he'll be missed, man. His music will be played, remembered, and continued. Right. That's the best piece to that. So rest in peace to him, and yeah. On to a lighter note. Last Sunday, Easter Sunday, um, we had a verses that I know Vari and I talked about it, and we talked about it really briefly a week before. I didn't think it was gonna be as good as it was, man. And as I sit and I play some of the tracks back, man, listen, I think Reasons might be the best track ever made, ever. Period. From the vocals to the beat to the backgrounds, the shit is crazy. Like the notes that Philip hit, the shit he was saying, he was getting. Oh my god, he was getting in their ears. Listen, man, I've been listening to Reasons on repeat for like the last week, at least once a day on the way to or from work. It's been played once or twice. This guy just
Yeah.
yo, I think about what we know of music and how people record now. And like when I sit down and think of like Earth, Wind and Fire and I listen to that track, I wonder if these cats was like in a studio and when Philip is laying down the tracks, like what everyone else is sitting in the background doing, like looking at him like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like it's different. When with hip hop and rap, somebody drops a bar and some shit and motherfuckers be like, oh shit, that's a bar, you know what I mean? But I'm wondering like it's gotta be different for R&B, right?
Nah, I mean it definitely is, man. And I say this often to people, and I think that especially when I say it to young people, they think that is bullshit, because they come up in an age where all this technology is available, and so maybe they think that some of these things were there back then. It's just that it's better now. And that's true to a certain extent, right? But artists back then in the 50s and 60s and shit, there wasn't some guy in the fucking booth, with the EQ knob adjusting your levels to make your shit sound right. And you have artists today, like one of my favorite to bring up when I mention this thing is somebody like a Britney Spears, right? Britney Spears is a global artist or whatever, right? But she can't sing. You know what I mean? She's a personality. She's an image, right? And she does the dancing and all this kind of thing like that. But when it's time to get down and just is you and the microphone, it's not there because she's that person who has the guy in the booth messing with the EQ knob, making it come out right. Whereas somebody like in the same vein as Britney, like a Christina Aguilera, can actually blow. You know what I'm saying? And 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 so when you think about those artists back then in the time of Earth, Wind and Fire and the Isley Brothers and Teddy, Al Green, and the list just goes on and on. You had to have the talent. You know what I mean? Like there was no backup from the equipment. It was just you and the microphone, right? On top of that, when you think about albums back then, these guys weren't making albums that had 15 tracks. An album might have had 4 records on it. You know what I mean? It had 2 on the A side, 2 on the B side. That was it. You know what I mean? And so when you put something out, that shit had to be a banger because that was the album until next year or whatever. You know what I mean? And it's why these guys from back then got so many classics, because one album was a classic in itself because it only had 4 tracks on it. You know what I mean? And just to co-sign on what you said about Reasons, man, I have Reasons on mad playlist. That song, I mean, it's fucking phenomenal, classic, league of its own kind of thing, man. That's an amazing fucking track, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything that sets it apart, the thing we can all say, and although we grew up on it because it was in our houses and it was on our playlists and everything like that, that doesn't necessarily mean we had to take to it. And the thing is, we took to it and we adopted it. And I mean, even now when I'm in the car with my kids and I'm playing, you know, Donna Summer, Earth, Wind and Fire, whatever it is, my 6-year-old is bumping to it. You know what I'm saying? So, timeless music, you can have debates all you want. You can have debates all you want. But when the music is timeless, it hits every generation and it feels good for everybody. So when you're talking about Earth, Wind and Fire and the Isleys, man, first of all, the Isleys, like I said, have so many hits. These guys been doing it since the 50s. And then Earth, Wind and Fire is just vocally, the composition of music is just out of this world. So that was just a beautiful thing. Shout out to all of the women that were lusting for a 79-year-old out here.
Bro.
It's funny. My man said, one thing about men and women, yeah, you ain't gonna catch no men out here lusting over no 79-year-old. Just saying.
Yeah, I told my homegirl from work, I was like, "Hey, did you watch the verses?" And then before she even responded, I was like, "Probably not, man. That thing might have been too grown and too sexy for you." Because she's young, she's like in her late 20s and shit. I'm like, that might have been too grown and sexy for you, man. You gotta grow up a little bit for that.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the verses. Did you guys see? I know, Vari, when we talked about it, I said I'll probably catch pieces. I'll be in and out of it, pause. And I actually sat through more of it than I thought I was. I think I watched the whole shit, probably with the exception about maybe 5 or 10 minutes sprinkled in between where, I might have stepped away to do something.
I caught a good amount of it, but not as much as I wanted to, because I was just moving around. But
because you were in and out of it.
Nah, man, it's Easter. Easter,
exactly. Man. I think it was hiding eggs.
Nah, man, that's cool.
We know we know the truth.
It's cooler, my brother.
Oh man,
it's cooler, my brother.
Yeah, I mean, so we had Earth, Wind and Fire sounded great. I mean, these guys aged great, man. Black don't crack. Shit. I had to look it up to find out how old Ron Isley was. Like, I didn't believe when somebody put. I was in a chat and somebody put 79. I was like, he ain't no damn 79 years old. Then I started thinking about when his music started, and I'm like doing the math, and I'm like, wait a minute. This motherfucker might be in his 70s.
Yeah, you gotta think
79, man.
You gotta think in the 60s, in the early 60s. So in the 50s is when they started. So by the time the 60s hit, he was 20. He was 20 and some change. You don't realize that.
And then some of those people, the thing too is that a lot of times, and this happens across the board, legend or not, is that when you get older, your voice diminishes a little bit. It's just part of life. You know what I mean? And these guys still sound good. I'm pretty sure, like, to a person who was like trained in music, they can hear it, to be like, oh, well, this register didn't hit or whatever. But overall, they still sounded really good. And you don't see that a lot when some of these artists, these older artists perform. Like, you watching the Grammys and so is getting a Lifetime Achievement Award and they sing one of their songs and it's like, ooh, you know,
Right. Right.
you should have let Jennifer Hudson sing that and you just accept the award, but I didn't get that feeling with them.
You got a point. And these guys are singing to us through social media. You know what I mean? Versus these, the people you're speaking of that are on these stages where they've prepped the audio for a week, and they've done 1, 2, 3, and 4 different takes, practicing and getting ready and shit like that. So I
Hmm.
mean, they got up there and Ron, shit. Then seeing Verdine with the hair, oh my god, these bitches, they ain't know what to do. They ain't know what to do. Listen, man. I saw somebody post something in the versus chat on Instagram asking about his hair, and they got killed, killed. Obviously that's his thing, man. But it was amazing, man. It was amazing. I really, I wish I hope everybody either takes a piece of it, gets the copy of it, and lets their elders hear it. I really wish my dad would have had a chance to see it. I know EJ, your mom would love it if she
She was
didn't see
watching.
it. Yeah,
That's how I knew it was real. Cause she's like, the verses is on YouTube.
right.
I'm like, bruh, okay. Welcome to 2020,
For real.
2021.
Your mom is one of the music pioneers that I know. I mean, her record collection, shit.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
shit gotta be worth
Yeah.
worth some shit right there.
It might be. It just might be. She got original 45s, everything. She
I
got it
love
all.
music, man.
You probably had moms around the country telling their kids like, "Yo, you was made to this one."
Right. Yeah, no doubt. Oh, no
No
doubt.
question.
No doubt. No doubt.
No
There's at
question.
least on the 50 tracks they played, I guarantee at least 40 of them there was some
Shit. Some
buns.
of them were made to it. You gotta think. Like my mother's mother was an Isley Brothers fan from the 50s.
Mm.
Yeah.
So you figure that because they really started late, kind of 40s ish. You figure your mother or father was born anywhere from 50 to 53.
Yeah.
They might have been made to them too.
Good point. That's a good point. Lots of buns. How much buns you think them dudes got
So
touring like throughout life?
Ron is
Shit,
still
I
getting
think
buns. He
I
got
was
a
just about
14-year
to
old
say.
kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just about to say. I think Ron might have walked out of there and had a side chick waiting. He looked like it. He had the pimp cane with the fucking chinchilla. Oh my god,
You gotta
Ron.
remember he got a 14-year-old kid. So right after that Mr. Big stuff, he went and shot up the club.
Yeah, you know what, man? That's another piece I wanted to talk about, and I saw people upset on online and stuff, and frustrated that he played the Mr. Biggs tracks that were written by R. Kelly, man. And listen, I commend them. I commend him. I commend D Nice. I commend Swiss in them. Listen, that's part of his catalog. It's music. I get it. I'm tired of us canceling everybody. Cancel him. R. Kelly is a nasty motherfucker. We get that. We know that. That doesn't stop the fact that he's a musical fucking genius, and every single track that he's ever touched or been a piece of should not be burnt and put in the fucking dirt. In my opinion, personal
See,
opinion.
I think this is the problem. Like when we talk about the whole like cancel bullshit, right? Is that okay? R. Kelly's been accused of child sex stuff or whatever, right? He's canceled. Fine. He's not booking any shows. I mean, he's in jail, so it's not like he's booking anything anyway. But let's say everything was done, the case was behind him. He may not be booking shows. If he put out new music, it's probably not being produced by anybody, whatever, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not like the songs that were your favorites is him talking about, I'm gonna be hitting up this 14-year-old or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you can separate the art from the artist. It's not like like when you talk about like when they were saying like the Dr. Seuss stuff or whatever, right? You had these books that the estate said they're not going to sell anymore because they're racist. Okay, I get that, right? But but I feel like you got to separate the person from the art sometimes. And the thing that let me know that like some of these guys are gonna be okay, especially when from the music world, is like when I went on my cruise, they were still playing R. Kelly stuff, like in the like the events they do, like on the deck by the pool and all that kind of thing. They were still playing Michael Jackson and things like that. So I think that the music is gonna be okay, but it's just people, virtue signaling and they got to use social media to show I'm a good person because I think that this person shouldn't be played, so that makes me a good
Right.
person. I've checked the box.
Right.
So it's just shit like
Yeah.
that, man.
People pick and choose what they cancel, and I've been saying this for the longest time. Like you'll have somebody say, "I don't watch the NFL anymore," but they'll watch the NBA, which I've been saying for the longest time is the most asinine ideology idea ever. When you look at the NBA and the NFL, for people to sit here and try to say one is more progressive because one has made face value or paint over kind of gestures when they were the original league that said, the NBA said you have to stand for the national anthem, and they did it to
Mm.
Raif and others that they blackballed, and then it's like, I know a couple people that are like, yeah, well, I don't like the Home Depot, but I still watch the UFC. Like, okay, Dana White is a huge Trump supporter. He was documented to just be as bad as anybody else. So it's like people pick and choose what was good for them. It's kind of like Lent, to a lot of people. Like you give up something that you ain't gonna die for. Some people are devout
Yeah.
in it, but you give up something you're not gonna die without. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we'll cancel things that we want to, but because the women 40 and up, they ain't cancel R. Kelly.
Hmm.
We knew what was going on with this dude over 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So, Pete, you can't, like you said, Steve, as Ron Isley's got to play his catalog. It is what it is. We've forgiven people for less things. Shit. Biggie is Biggie, not to throw dirt on his name, but he was one of the worst guys. When it came to Little Kim and just out here running the streets and doing his thing, and you're not gonna be able to say nothing bad about him. So people just pick and choose who they want to cancel. They don't, like we always say, they don't say nothing to their Uncle Junebug. You know, that'd be right in their face. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, not condoning anything R. Kelly did. He's in there, and you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. Same people that have put on a free poopy shirt. You know what I mean?
Free poopy.
And free my cousin Poopy. He a good dude. Yeah, he a good dude that kicked the old lady in the face 13 times when he broke into her house.
Yeah.
That's your good dude. You know what I'm saying? Right? So yeah, you got a point, man. But whatever. Um Isley Brothers Earth, Wind and Fire was an amazing versus. It was much better than I expected it to be, specifically because uh the just the presentation, man. I thought it was going to be a little slow. Steve Harvey did a good job. He, talked a little bit too much, but that's a Steve Harvey thing. Um, and I got to backpedal a little bit, man. I was ahead of time. I was like, man, Isley's gonna get Earth, Wind, and Fire the fuck up out of here, and not so much, not so much. Yeah, when I maybe I was just thinking about their longevity. Um, but no, I think Earth, Wind, and Fire held their own. I could see people calling it a tie, and sure, for the culture, but they was beating the Isleys out the building for the first 10. I could tell you that much. You know, It was not even close, not even close. So yeah, but
I think it's the
excellent.
style of music. It's just quickly. I just think it's the 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 Isley Brothers have a slower, more slower sound. Earth, Wind and
Hmm.
Fire just has a different, more up tempo sound. And the only unfortunate thing is there are not a lot of bands or groups with catalogs that have that style of music that can keep up with them. Like I like Gap
And it was
Band.
9 of them niggas.
Yeah, maybe like a Gap Band or Maze or somebody like that that could give you that up tempo type feel, but it's not a lot of people that can do that. So I think hit for hit wise, they brought some heavy hitters with the hits, but far as style of music, you're gonna be there's two different tones, two different tempos.
Yeah, you got picnic tone, or the upbeat picnic swag, which was Earth Wind, and then you got bedroom swag, which was the Isleys. Like, I'm gonna just go ahead and swindle you out of them panties, young lady.
Literally.
uh, yeah, but so yeah, good week, interesting week, man. A lot took place. Where do we go from there? More police brutality videos popping up. Um, I don't know if we go there just yet, but if you saw the video, I'm sure VP you saw the video. Your brethren, uh, there wasn't a video that came out. Gentleman who is a lieutenant in the military. I don't know what branch it was, but
Army.
in the army. In Virginia, was pulled over by two officers for a quote unquote routine traffic stop. He started basically to get treated like a criminal. They maced him. They took his dignity. They treated him like less than a human in public. And I mean, the man was crying on the side of the fucking road because he didn't understand what was happening, man. And that shit is just fucking sad, man.
Just to
It's
go
so fucked up, man.
just to go in depth into it, because this one really enraged me. Because I think we talk about it so nonchalantly because we haven't lived it, right? And um, people are able to be like, well, what was he doing, or why didn't he comply, or what happened? Same thing when we had, the brother on here speaking about the video where the guy was an undercover FBI agent and he didn't want to comply because he didn't have to. I think people don't realize within their American rights, if you're not doing anything, it's very easy. And I mean, we all grew up in urban areas, where we might have a little different take. Cause me, I'd run. But as a grown person in a car, and you're minding your business, he just bought a new Suburban, had dealer tags visible, had tints. And so these cops already pulled him over saying this was a felony stop. This dude is in full uniform. He's in full military uniform. He has his hands out the window. He's not a threat. He's trying to have a conversation with you. So let's throw out the window that he was hostile and he was combative. He's trying to talk to you. And you came out guns drawn. You're not even speaking to him. You identified this guy was in the military and asked him what his rank was. Asked him what his rank was. And still, as he's talking to you, not escalated, not heightened, you're still on 10. You then mace him. And Steve, I don't know if you knew about this, but he maced him and also ultimately, subsequently, maced his dog that was in a crate in the back that began choking.
Yeah, I saw that piece of it. Mari doesn't care about the dog.
So,
Uh,
so you know what I mean? And just like that situation, juxtapose that. This is a army lieutenant. Had that been a young 25-year-old, first car, not a lot of restraint, not a lot of anything, that would have been a fatal shooting. No question.
and he told him that he was scared. So when you talk about him complying, and anyone that says, "Well, why didn't he comply?" They told him, "Hey, step out the car. Just step out the car." Well, his seatbelt's on, and we live in a place right now where we can't even reach for our fucking seatbelt, even if we're told to do it, because we don't know what the fuck the outcome is going to be. And he was telling them that.
Guns drawn. The guns still drawn on him. Still. And then what grounds do you have to just pull him out the car? You didn't ask him for his registration. You didn't say, hey, this car's tints are too dark. Hey, your dealer tags are not visible. You came out with guns blazing. So what other option does he have to do anything? And he even said to the point, yo, the door's open. Y'all open the door. Take the seatbelt off for me. Nah, you take it off. He said, well, I'm reaching for the seatbelt. Okay, nah, it's not that simple. And I think people are so desensitized to it, especially people that don't look like this man or you or I or Vari. Like this was one thing, one move could have caused the end of his life. And there's no telling me anything different. No telling me. These guys should be stripped of their badge and they should do some time. Honestly, they should go to jail. This was harassment, violation of civil rights. Just disgusting, man. Disgusting. Probably dudes that we didn't catch from the freaking Capitol.
Yeah, it's I haven't actually seen the video. I saw like a headline of it, but didn't I actually didn't watch it. It was like one of those things where it's kind of the same reason I haven't been watching the George Floyd trial. It's like I had to get some of that trauma out of my life for a little bit. Just seeing black people abused and that kind of thing. It's just it's tiresome, man. It weighs on you mentally. But listening to y'all describe it, it's super fucked up, and the part about it, like hearing you guys talk about it, that really disturbs me the most is that the fact that this person is somebody who's in the military, right? This is a person who's raised a hand and said that they're willing to lay down their life to uphold, the laws and the Constitution of this country, the freedoms of this country, and they're treated that way. And not to say that a military person should be treated better than a civilian or whatever, but the point that I'm making is that this person has essentially said, I'll give up my life to make sure that the American way of life stays the same. And to a certain extent, these officers take that same oath and they treat this person that way, any person, but especially, a person who is serving their country. It's just, this shit is just completely out of bounds, man. And we talk about this often, and I say it often, is that, apart from the racism and stuff like that, it's the training. These guys come into every situation on 10, and their justification is, I got to go home. I have to make it home, as if the person they're stopping doesn't need to make it home, and given what we've seen happen in this country throughout our history, but especially in the social media age where, you probably could find a new video of somebody being mistreated by the police daily on your various social media feeds. So you have black people who, have a heightened sense of fear when interacting with the police. And you would think that they would come into that situation, especially when the person is verbalizing it. Hey, I'm afraid. I don't want to reach. I don't want to do this. You would think that they would understand that and try to, calm the situation down instead of escalating it. And it seems like with most cops, the default setting is to always escalate, always intensify, and the shit it's fucking insane, man. And it's gonna get to a point to where, people aren't gonna take this shit anymore, and not just black people, because, we see cops who come into these situations escalating shit with other people as well. I see that video from Arizona a couple years back where the guy is spraying for bugs in a hotel. Somebody calls the cop, says he has a gun. They put him on the floor and he's lifting his head up to ask to do what he's saying because the cop is just shouting all these different commands at him. And when he lifts his head to ask a question, the cop shoots him. This is another unarmed person or whatever, you know what I mean? And that person was white, and so they need to, sit these fucking cops down and start readjusting their attitudes. We would have things when I was in the military where they would have, like, they call it a stand down. And usually it's for safety. They have a safety stand down. That means everything on the base basically stops, and we got to go do all this training and talk about these things. This is how you recognize this. This is how you recognize that. And that kind of thing like that. And they may need to do something like that in these various police departments across the country. Is start sitting these motherfuckers down, getting their attitudes adjusted, and the ones who don't want to get with the program need to fucking go.
I don't mean to be in the spirit of debate or to take away from anything you said, but I'm giving you one of those moments where you get me and you say I disagree. I agree to disagree. We know that training is an issue, but I cannot. And yes, the police are hostile and aggressive to others, outside of the Hispanic or black or just non-white ethnicity. It just, for me, I can't help ignore that racism to me is the primary casualty or causal problem for, I'm going to say, 80% of these things. Similar to what you were saying about racism and guns. The way, and you haven't seen the video yet, but just the way that this went down, nothing about this is training. Both of the officers, at least one of them is former military. He has time on the force. They didn't even say that they were looking for a particular car. I could see, right, if they were saying they were looking for a car in a double shooting or something was happening that made it more heightened for them, right? This guy gave himself up from the very beginning. He even drove a little bit to get to a lighted gas station to where they could see him. And just to the point where the conversation was being had. We know you don't get trained like that, brother. We know you're not getting trained like that. So the way that you just and we can't, like, and I'm not going against what you're saying. We can't propose every situation what every cop is thinking. But far too many times do we see these type of assholes, even where if you look in the frame, the other cop that was there, you could tell is the younger, more inexperienced cop because he's taking instruction from the asshole. He's even looking like, oh, shit, like we fucked up, and it's just these instances. And again, I'm not here to debate what you said, but it's just these instances where we keep seeing this towards our people because we are the ones that fatally suffer the most. And this, I'm telling you, man, if this guy had been a 25-year-old kid, he'd have been anything or anybody else less, not in military uniform, not with some level of restraint. He'd have died, man. And there was nothing that they could say about it. You touched on the George Floyd trial. I understand why people haven't been watching it because I debated why I wasn't, but I wanted to see what was going to happen, what they were going to say. I'm not going to say what I think is going to happen, but the training, I have to commend the police chief and others from the force that came out there and straight up said, nah, man, this dude ain't a part of us. We were not trained to do that. They were not trained to be that way. These guys got fired for a good reason. They got to go. Whether they believe it wholly or not, this is a glaring example to where training is not always going to be something that they're going to be able to rely on because there are people that just go above and beyond and past the level of a point of training. And I mean, I know it's traumatic, but I got to watch these things because it's, if you don't see it, you almost don't believe it happened.
And I hear what you're saying, EJ, and I'm not disagreeing with you. I guess the point that I'm making about the training is not necessarily. I don't think cops or any law enforcement at the academy are being told you got to go into every situation on 10 guns drawn, da 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 da. It's something that happens once they get in the field, right? And to give you an example of when I was in the military, right? When I was stationed in South Carolina, the base that we do recruit training on, boot camp, it's in South Carolina. It's like 10 minutes away from that base I was stationed at. So a lot of dudes, like when you finish a special duty assignment, you get to pick where you want to go for your next assignment, right? and a lot of them they bought homes. You know, their families kind of the kids already started school, so they'll just go to that base there, so that way they can kind of continue for another 3-4 years, right? So we get a lot of people who were drill instructors who work at this base, right? And so one of my staff sergeants, who was a drill instructor, he told me a story when he first comes out of DI training, drill instructor training, right? He gets his first platoon. He was like, and they come out there, you know, these guys just get off the bus, you know, brand new to boot camp and shit. He was like, and they come out of the door like after they get sworn in for being the drill instructors for this class, for this platoon, and these dudes just start like going ham, right? He was like, next thing you know, he sees this one drill instructor like fucking spear this kid like Goldberg from fucking wrestling into the side of the bunk, right? And he said he's sitting there looking like, what the fuck? Because he's fresh out of training, you know, where he's taught you don't put your hands on anybody, you don't do this, you don't do that, you don't da 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 da. So the kid ends up reporting this shit up the chain, right? And so he was like, when they're in the back talking, the drill instructor who speared the kid tells him, yo, the reason this kid is making noise is because they see you acting different from us. So they think that what is something wrong with what we're doing. And he's looking like, what the fuck? And he said the dude literally tells him, yo, when we go back out there, the first person that does anything wrong, you need to just walk up and smack the shit out of them. So that way they know, like, you know, we're a unit. Like, this is how shit goes around here, that kind of thing like that, you know? And so I feel like I said that to basically say, I feel like this is the kind of shit that's happening with cops. And kind of to the point that EJ made about the partner, who kind of seems like, yo, what the fuck, you know? But he's seen old boy who's on 10. And so he feels like I got to do this shit too to make it seem like it's all legit. You know what I
Nah,
mean?
it wasn't like that. And I get your point, and you've also been out the military a long time, and it was a different time. And in today's day and age, I have buddies that are on the force, the NYPD, etc. Some of these cats is like, yo, there's a feeling like I don't even want to respond to nothing, because even when I am doing my job, I'm gonna get in trouble. So there has to be something in their minds that are telling them differently. And it's like, if you watch this video, it's way beyond the scope. It's just beyond. It's just, and again, I understand what you're saying. It's these instances I'm talking about. It's not the ones where there's a gray area where he might have made a good call. I mean, shit, me and Steve say all the time, you know, like there was times that I posted stuff and I'm like, it's a good shoot to me. I'd have did the same thing, whatever. But there are instances like these, no, no.
I hear you.
So let me touch a couple pieces of what was said here. My thoughts. So from the police, the officer's standpoint, one of them was definitely the one who was on site initially was a young kid. You could tell he was a young kid, probably fresh to the force, fairly new. We don't know what happened before that would have made him call for backup, for him to be nervous and scared, right? I don't think he's the racist one. I think he called for backup, and the one that just happened to come just happened to be the right one. He's the fucking Chauvin of the group. And he gets there and he's immediately on fucking 10. Get the fuck out the car. Get out the fucking car. Get out the car, right? And then you see the kid kind of look at him like in training day, right? Look at him like, nigga, relax. And then he's like, hey, and then he starts talking to the gentleman in the car, and he's like, hey man, just get out the car. You know, he's yelling at, dude, just get out the car, you know, in a whole different tone than what, you know, the dickhead was. To VP's point, they're not trained for these situations. And I don't think that they're told to go out there and you gotta be on 10. Not when they're in training. When they go and they fucking shadow with an officer, that officer is probably the one that's telling them, you got to make it home. You know what I'm saying? You have to do what's right to get you home to your family. If that means that you have to shoot somebody and ask and answer questions later, you do that, or you can be shot. And I think that's what resonates with these guys. They get out there and something happens, and now they feel like that's what's in their mind. Shit, I got to get home because I can get shot, because this officer that they're shadowing with, or that they're sitting with for those 2 weeks or whatever that time frame is telling them all this bad shit that has happened while on the force. They're not telling them about the good stops. They're not like, oh, I pulled over this black guy the other day. He had some weed, told me he had some weed. I let him go. You know what I'm saying? They're not telling him that stop. They're telling him about the stop where I pulled this guy over. He was in a fucking Crown Vic. He popped his doors and started running on me. And, you know, we ended up catching up to him and he had a gun on him. And that's what these guys are thinking. You know what I mean? When they get into that situation, you know, B-side to that is, you know, this guy's telling them that he's scared, right? He pulled into a well-lit area. These guys said they tried to justify it by saying they thought he was going to run. They thought that he was going to do something that he shouldn't have done, you know, had he, you know, had they just approached him, right? Nobody's pulling into a well-lit gas station with cameras and fucking bystanders if they have any thoughts of, one, running, or two, shooting you. Like, it doesn't go down like that. You know what I'm saying? So they're out of fucking control, man. They're out of control. It's these fucking grandfathered in fucking cops that have been in line of duty for 10, 20 years, you know, just awaiting their fucking their retirement so they can get their pension and take off. Those are the guys that are still fucking thinking, and they're carrying the bullshit legacy from their days of being on the force to these poor young guys, and it just continues to fucking happen because this was an old fucking bald piece of shit fucking cop. You could tell he was out of shape. He's just a fucking dick. And then you talk about, you know, I want to talk about the George Floyd thing. You said, you know, we commend those guys. Fuck them. This guy's fucking rap sheet is long as fuck. How many times has he done this? How many times has he had a fucking complaint? And now, because it's a fucking huge issue, because it's making mass media throughout the United States, now you want to come forward and say, oh no, he's not one of us. Oh no, what he did was wrong. What he did wrong now is what's wrong, but for the 15 other times you were okay with it, for the 15 other times you vouched
18.
for him, you kept him on the force. Fuck
18.
that, man. Fuck these cops, man. They need to sit down. They need to be sat down, and they need to have some type of conversation. They need to hold these motherfuckers accountable to the fullest extent of the law, just like they do with anybody else, just like they do with civilians, because that's ultimately what they are. They're you and me, and they're supposed to keep us safe. They're supposed to protect us and our families from individuals who want to do dirt. They're not supposed to come out there and shoot us and kill us just because.
And just to correct something that Steve said, it was 18 complaints on Chauvin, not 15. But yeah, you know, you make a great point, Steve, and you know, and kind of you were saying like you don't know what made the other guy show up and that kind of thing. If you follow or read these stories from reporters, like local reporters who cover police, and they've told, like, over this past year, I've read like horror stories about like media people who do ride-alongs with cops. One of them in particular that stands out is this journalist says he's doing a ride-along, and the cop that he's with, he was like, this guy is not doing anything. He's driving around, and basically he sees somebody in the car and he runs the plates. Person's not speeding. They didn't change lanes without signaling. It's just he's running the plates, and he's waiting for something to come back so he can just pull somebody over. You know what I mean? This is not something that cops should be doing on the regular, right? And then he said they hear the radio where another officer somewhere else pulls somebody over, and this guy lights it up and hauls ass over there. And when he gets over there, this person he comes in on 10. And in this particular situation, the guy, him and his girl, or I don't know if it was his wife or his girl or whatever, but it was them two, and they had a kid in the car. They had went out to dinner or to like somebody's house or something like that. And the wife was feeling sick and couldn't drive. And so he was driving, but he was out on fucking probation and his license was suspended or whatever. And so in a normal situation like that, where, because cops have discretion, the cop could have said, hey, you know, I get you were trying to help your girl out, but you're not really supposed to be driving, and you know you're on probation, man. You need to call somebody to come get you. I can't let you drive, but I'm not gonna throw you back in jail and that kind of thing like that, right? And that could have been the outcome of that situation. But fucking this Delta Force motherfucker shows up you know, and he starts going crazy. Get out of the car, da da da, you know. And the reporter is like, the dude is like, wait, hold on a second, you know. And now because he didn't immediately comply, they pull the dude out the car, they fucking tase him in front of his girl and his kid, and this dude gets sent back to jail for violating his fucking probation by driving on a suspended license or whatever, you know. And so that's how some of those situations are happening, Steve, where you say, well, I don't know how the other cops show. You got these motherfuckers who are on ready set. They're just waiting
They're
to
just
hear the
waiting.
call.
Yeah.
And then they come over there, fucking lights blaring, you know, fucking tires screeching around corners and shit. And you know,
And we do know what makes the major difference of it all, right? When they see the person looks like us, it becomes even worse. And we know this is 9 times out of 10 the case. And the other thing that I keep saying that cannot be ignored, right? Just look to what happened on January 6th. How many of these guys were law enforcement officers that we know of? How many got away? Okay. So this is the mentality of these people that wear the badge, that believe they can storm the Capitol, one, violate our most sanctified place of lawmaking in the country, one of the most sacred establishments in the world, right? And not only do that, but then have the wherewithal to assault other officers. So at this point, it's no longer about blue lives. No, no, no. It's no longer about patriotism. It's about, I follow the ideals of this racist punk who was in the highest office and who granted me the way and the ability to feel that I can be myself. I can be my racist self and impact others.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know how they fix it. I don't know how they fix it. You got to hold people accountable. We can't just be fucking just firing them. We can't just put them on administrative leave and then reassign them. We can't just put them on the desk job. Like, when this shit happens, you have to put these motherfuckers in jail, because they're thinking, fuck it, I lost my job. I moved to another city, another state, get a new job. You know what I'm saying? Go be a cop somewhere else. Go fuck somebody else up. Got to put these guys in jail, man. It has to be on their record. Has
Especially
to
with
be.
stuff like this, man. It's one thing when they have personal conduct violations. No, when you damn near about to take somebody's life, bro. Like you, nah. This I'm telling you, man. When VP, I know it's traumatic, but as best as you can, try to watch some of this joint. Because if it
I'll
was
check it out.
if it was anybody else, the dude would have been shot, bro. Would have been shot, no question.
I'll check it out. I
Yeah.
mean, the biggest, like, you know, the problem, I've said this multiple times with cops, is the accountability. And the reason that there's no accountability is that police unions are probably the most powerful union in this country. And they have organized it in a way to where cops essentially can't be held accountable for damn near anything, you know? And it's part of the reason why some people hate unions. You know, they feel like there's no accountability, you know. and and I'm a person that backs unions, but I feel that way to a certain extent. Like, I feel like unions have their purpose, right? If you got a fucking pilot, and you know, we know airlines, they fly with a little bit more fuel than they need for the trip, just in case they gotta circle the airport before they land, whatever, whatever. And this pilot says, "Oh, I got this light. I could make it to Denver, but fuck it, I'm gonna dump the fuel and declare an emergency and land in Atlanta." And the airline comes in and says, "We're going to suspend you." The union's like, "No, the fuck you're not. This dude had to make a judgment call. They were in the air. He got 200 people lives at his mercy. So, you know, I'm cool with that." But when you have motherfuckers who are killing people, and the union is saying, "Hey, you got to make it home," you know, it's like, come on, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. They need to have sensitivity training. And like I
They don't
said,
give a fuck about it.
yeah, well, I don't think they're having it regularly. And like I always say, and just like I say with with guns and stuff like that, they need to bring these guys in every 6 months, and they need to do a fucking a test to check where their mental stability is at. Find out what the fuck is going on in these people's lives, man. Because If I wake up one day and I'm an officer and I get into a fight with my wife, that first person that I pull over, there's no telling how I'm going to respond. It's human nature. You know what I'm saying? Even more so if you have that inkling of hate in you for a specific gender, for a specific race, whatever it might be. So yeah, they got to check on you guys.
It's like I always say, man, we're a collection of experiences, and that's basically the point that you're making, So they definitely need to do wellness checks or wherever the fuck they want to call it, with these people. But the accountability piece is huge, and it's something that you don't see, to the point that you made earlier. Like, EJ's saying, the cops are testifying against Chauvin, et cetera, et cetera. But this guy has 18 complaints against him or whatever. And it's not to say that every one of them is true or whatever. You have some people who get arrested and maybe they think filing a complaint can make the arrest go away or whatever. But, you know, 18 complaints against the same officer, like, it might need to be like, hey, we need to look into this shit. And the problem is that whenever you have complaints against police, it's the police who investigate the police. It doesn't go to some outside independent body. And even the ones that do, it usually goes to like your local prosecutor, who are also the police.
Or
And
citizens review boards, and they're not knowledgeable of anything, and they just want to
right.
go home anyway.
And then, you have like these prosecutors' offices or whatever who feel like, well, we can't come down too hard on these folks because we need these people to make arrests and then testify in our cases, and we don't want them, not helping us or whatever. So, and it's like the one hand washes the other, and nothing happens.
Yeah, and in the trial, they do it. The reason why I said what I said is because the chief is a black man, and you could tell there is a personal element for him, which may hinder or help this case. But you could tell it's personal. He wasn't trying to hear shit they were talking about. Like, he was like, I saw the evidence, I gathered the information, and I fired this motherfucker, point blank, period. And the defense, not to get too deep, the defense did a good job in exposing flaws in policy and in the transference of these trainings. And these guys have a lot of trainings in place. They got Chauvin's attendance record. They got all of this stuff. And it's there. That there's clear standards of operation that the chief made very clear of how he expects his officers to respond and to do things. There are other officers, sergeants that said the same thing. There was the one guy that taught defense tactics. He's a lieutenant, white guy, looks like a good old boy. He was kind of erring on the side of caution and kind of giving a lot of leeway to some of this stuff. But at the end of the day, man, it's when you look at it, there are 18 complaints. He was known in the community. This guy was he was what we thought he was. And you guys said it, and I'm saying it, accountability is the biggest thing. Stop letting these people. Another thing that our community has to do, we have to culturally understand that we can't hate the police the way we used to. Like, and I say that in a sense of, we now have to start to take control with our votes, with elections, ensuring that these police live with us in our communities. Start to tell our babies that, look, you want to make a real difference. You don't want to be harassed. You don't want to have no problems. Get in the forest, come back home and work, and remove these different things that these departments have that was systemically and strategically put in place for us not to be on the forces. Where you have in Maryland, state troopers, and in Baltimore City, you have, well, you had marijuana ever in your life? Oh, that disqualifies you. But methamphetamine and coke and all this other stuff that doesn't culturally apply to our community is not something that gets you disqualified. We need to start to understand culturally as a people. Yeah, you're gonna do your dirt. There's always gonna be an issue where we don't trust the police, but hopefully, logically, if we can get some people that look like us, that are from here, that actually care about us, we may not have to worry as much in a perfect world. So I think those are some things that we can do. How realistically that'll happen, I don't know.
Now, you make a good point, EJ, and not to belabor the point, but that's why I talk so much about the importance of voting. But it's not just the voting or whatever; it's also the action and the involvement in the community. As an example, here, like I remember when COVID was raging during the summer, and the Orange County School Board here in Florida was debating whether or not they should like force in-person school, and at that point, I'm watching the school board meetings, and people are at this fucking school board meeting. They got on masks, and some people are attending virtually over the phone, and they're live streaming this thing on YouTube, and it's thousands of people watching it. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure the Orange County School Board meeting probably happens live on YouTube all the time. It may have 600 people in it. This time there's a few thousand, and there's a bunch of people who are at the meeting saying, "Fuck that! This is bullshit." Teachers, parents, etc. We're all there, and I feel like that activism forced the hand. And so when it comes to policing, we got to have that same activism, right? Because in your county, your sheriff, who's the county sheriff, is an elected official, right? So hold this motherfucker accountable and let them know, hey, if you don't start changing some policies, we're gonna see you in November. You know what I mean? And your police chief is not an elected official, but the mayor who appoints him or her is, right? And so you start letting that mayor know, hey, you need to start implementing some fucking changes, because if not, we're gonna see you in November, And when these people understand that we as a people, as a community, are gonna start being active in the policy and making our political voices heard, they will start acting. You know what I mean? And until we do that, we're not going to get much change. It's why when we talk about guns, it's why Republicans don't budge on guns. Some of them, like a Lauren Boebert and that fucking crazy chick from Georgia, some of them are just fucking extremists, right? But they know that the people who vote for them love fucking guns and will punish them if they vote any way to do anything on guns, which is why you don't see any of them do it, because they know that their voters will hold them accountable. And so we have to do the same thing to the people who are in charge of the police.
Yeah, I mean, in addition to that, man, we just have to do better in the community welcoming the police. And what I mean by that is being competitive, right? AP being an officer here in Orlando, he ended up moving to a suburban area because the HOA in that area gave him a major cut on his HOA fees because he was parking a police car in his driveway every night, right? We don't see that in the inner city. We don't see that in the hood. People aren't doing that. They're not taking that into account, that the presence of a police car in a driveway every night can make that much of a difference, whether it's 2%, whether it's 5%, whether it's 10% less crime in that area. But we just have to be competitive in that area, whether it means, I mean, I know every area is not going to have HOAs, especially if they're in the hood, but fuck, man, if you're a landlord, listen, if you can keep your area a little safer, that's going to increase your property value. Give a motherfucker a cut. It don't got to be much. Give him a $50 cut a month. Something.
You guys are both spot on, and the problem is with a city like this one, Baltimore City, when that was an initiative that was brought to the table to where we were going to force officers to have to live in the city district, the city limits. There was a part of the council that didn't want to do that. So what happens? You get these guys. I-83 is right here. So York, Pennsylvania, all of these Pennsylvania country cities and townships are only an hour away. So guys come down here, they might have a rental spot, they might sleep in the squad car, they might put some money up together to just, have a place. And these people that have never lived in urban areas, never been around us, are policing our communities, and then they get on 83 and they go home. But as in culmination of what y'all both saying, well, we had an opportunity to turn a lot of these vacant houses that when they're fixed up, could have millions of dollars of worth to them. When we were incentivizing people to move here and work here, they didn't enforce it. So, you know, that's a big issue.
Yeah. So let's move on, man. VP, what is going on? Well, we lost the Crypt Keeper this week. In Prince Philip, what the fuck's his name? I don't even know.
Prince
Philip.
Philip. So I'll let you go ahead, VP, and give us a little political minute. What do we got going on in the world that is important for us to, or noteworthy to us?
Yeah, so I mean, like you said, Queen Elizabeth's husband, Prince Philip, died. The Duke of Edinburgh was his title. He died at the age of 99. Before I go to another thing, let me just say something on that real quick. I've been seeing on social people saying like, "Oh, it was reported that he got the vaccine 2 weeks ago. I don't know, you know, all that kind of bullshit." And that shit is so dangerous, man, for people to say shit. This dude is 99. This motherfucker just had heart surgery like a month ago. You know what I mean? Like,
it was the vaccine.
you know what I mean? Like, it's not like, you know, they making it like people, they're making this correlation like this dude was just strapping young 32-year-old man who died after getting the vaccine, or like this motherfucker was on death's door, you know? Like,
Sheesh.
you know, like, come on, man. Like, you know, like people need it's the internet is like one of the greatest inventions ever, and it also just fucking sucks, man, that people just use it for the most stupid shit. But anyway, yeah, so that happened. Prince Philip, Queen Elizabeth's husband, died at age 99. They're supposed to be having some kind of scaled down ceremony for him in the coming weeks or whatever due to COVID restrictions and that kind of thing. Also over here, you have Biden, who's continuing to push his infrastructure plan. Looks like they're trying to spend somewhere around $2.25 trillion on infrastructure, but for them, they're not just categorizing infrastructure as just being roads and bridges, which people traditionally think of it that way. They're talking about, you know, doing stuff for the electric grid, broadband in rural areas. You know, they have stuff in there like elder care, and people are like, how the fuck is that infrastructure? And they're saying, well, if there's not a properly functioning elder care system in the country, people can't go to work, which helps the economy, you know, like, so that shit's vital, you know. So you know, it's all kind of shit in this plan. You know, they're looking at somewhere mid to late summer of trying to get it passed, somewhere between June and August, basically, or July and August, to try to get the infrastructure bill passed. So it's not going to be as quick as like the COVID bill. Vaccines are still going out. The last numbers I saw, we were up to about 140 million Americans who've gotten at least one shot. And there's some, I believe the number is somewhere around like 28% of Americans that are fully vaccinated, either with the Johnson & Johnson or the 2-dose Pfizer or Moderna regimen. And then the other thing that's still big news in politics, man, is Matt Gaetz, the 38-year-old congressman from Florida's 1st District, who is being investigated, according to multiple media organizations, is being investigated by the FBI for child sex trafficking. Based on things that are being reported in the media, is not looking good. The Daily Beast reported on Venmo receipts from his account going to this guy, the Seminole County tax collector, Joe Greenberg, who's already indicted on 31 different charges, including child sex trafficking. A $900 payment going to him. In the memo line, he wrote, "Hit up," and then they put a blank for the person's name. They know the name, but they don't want to report it. This person had turned 18 about 6 months before this particular transaction. But the reason that it's important is that you're saying hit up so-and-so. So this is somebody you already know. You already have a relationship. So when does the relationship begin? You know? So, yeah. So he's being investigated for that based on this guy, Joel Greenberg, the disgraced Seminole County tax collector. He had a status hearing this week on Thursday. and his lawyer told the judge that they see this case not going to trial, that he's going to take a plea, which i.e. means he's going to take a deal, he's going to flip, he's about to start talking. And so most people expect an indictment for Matt Gaetz soon come. So we'll see what happens there. But that's basically what's been going on in politics, man.
Going to
Did you
jail.
get your stimmy?
Yeah, finally. Fuck, man.
There you go.
I still didn't yet, but yours was mailed a little before mine.
My shit. Fuck, man. Joe Biden got to do better, man. He ain't doing shit. This damn infrastructure ain't got shit to do with me. Give me my money. Give me my stimulus check, Joe.
Well, I mean, they mailed your check to you instead of direct deposit for some reason, but the mail has been slowed down thanks to Louis DeJoy, the Postmaster General, who was put in place by Trump and who's been fucking over the post office.
Yeah, I ain't get mail in like a month.
Yeah, I
Like,
told
yeah.
you guys last week. I got my notice from the December stimmy telling me, "Hey, you were sent a stimulus check in December," and I'm like, "Thanks." I mean, it's only fucking April. You know, I'm glad I found out. You know,
Really?
Yeah.
Because I already cashed it.
Yeah,
So,
I ain't been getting no bills, none of that. So you know what I'm about to be on. Well, I didn't get it.
yeah,
Never
So,
came.
Never came.
they so they need to. Biden's nominated 3 new members to the board of governors. This was weeks ago. They still haven't been had a hearing and confirmation by the Senate yet. But once those 3 new members of the board of governors get approved, it's likely that Louis DeJoy, the current postmaster general, will be fired because based on the rules of how the post office is organized, the president can't fire the postmaster general. He can appoint, or he can't even appoint the postmaster. The board of governors does it, but they usually appoint somebody who the president wants or whatever. But so once Biden's nominees get through, it's likely that DeJoy will get fired. That's not going to fix the mail, but they can get somebody in there who's going to, make an effort to unfuck this clusterfuck of a post office that DeJoy has gotten us now. So yeah, it's been crazy, man. But this Matt Gaetz thing, I just can't. Like, you're 38 years old, you're a lawyer, and you send a fucking message to your homeboy over a fucking app. Hit up someone.
Hit her up. Yeah, my man is wild.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna send somebody a text like, "Hey, did you get my PayPal for the drugs?"
Right.
Get that key I sent.
Yeah. You know what it is? People don't research shit, right? And this is just gonna be like a quick techie rant. Some of these apps, and not the one that we use for fantasy, but some of them encrypt shit and delete shit, right? Meaning that once it's encrypted, well, some encrypt and some delete. So once it's encrypted, it can only be decrypted if the records are subpoenaed, right? In a case like this, that would happen. Some of them delete it completely. There's no server, right? So you could do or say whatever the fuck you want. There's no server, there's no backup, right? So unless someone has that shit on their phone, screenshots of it, you can't go back and find it, right? And so
So you
just know what the fuck you
so you
just know what
saying
you're using.
he picked the wrong one?
Just know what you're using. I mean, I'm not condoning, and I'm not, in no way are we talking about in child sex trafficking at all. But you'd be surprised how many people end up getting caught in adultery on apps like this because they didn't do their research. So
which one did you suggest?
I listen. I use WhatsApp with you guys on fantasy, and that's the only one that I use because black men don't cheat.
But at the same time, though, man, I mean, like, think about any like good mob movie you see, right? Like, remember in Goodfellas when they introduced Paulie and Ray was like, Paulie don't talk to nobody. Like, he might go a whole day and might have had a conversation with 2 people, because he got other people doing the talking. You know what I mean? We live in the age of technology, so Yeah, and again, like Steve said, I'm not condoning any child sex trafficking or anything like that. But it's like if you're doing crime, like what the fuck, you know what I mean? Any crime or whatever, like why would you be sending payments over? You know what I mean? It's like I sold fucking cocaine and then I send my re-up money to my plug, over fucking Cash App, you know, and then put it in the re-up line
with a note, with a note. Send another key.
October's re-up. October's re-up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's crazy, man.
Send me another QP, please. Stupid motherfuckers, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So what else is going on? What else happened this week? Anything? Yankees and Mets are looking like shit. Specifically the Mets. God, y'all niggas.
No,
EJ,
specifically both. Both teams are some trash. Do the Yankees have more than one win?
Yes, and y'all paid Francisco Lindor 10 years,
Bruh,
300
I wasn't with it. I wasn't with
for
it.
pop-up.
I wasn't with it. I didn't see what I haven't been following the kid like that, but I wasn't with it. And I mean, I feel like the Mets are gonna be trash for a long time anyway, because we haven't gotten our bullpen together. So, and then you just I don't know what's going on. And then the hitting slumps that the Yankees are in and the pitching, I don't know. I throw them both away. Throw them away. Throw them away.
Yeah. Vari, your hero is still sitting out, allegedly hurt. Allegedly.
Who, LeBron?
Yeah.
I don't believe these injuries from these players, especially when they took away the what is it, load time rule, whatever they called it, load, whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
No idea.
When they like the max, like talking about them like taking days off to not get tired, load, yeah, whatever they
load management.
Yeah, load management. There you go. I know it's load something.
Load bearing fruit.
I know how I manage my load.
But anytime I hear about like these injuries of these stars, I always think about the load management thing, and I wonder like, this motherfucker really hurt,
I mean, he got an ankle injury. Somebody was saying on Facebook, he was like, him and AD got lower leg ankle injuries walking around with low tops on.
Yeah,
and I was like, they be knowing.
On jet skis and shit.
Yeah, so I it might just be some load management shit or whatever, but I get it though, man. I as a fan, it sucks, if that's what they're doing. But you look at a person like Kobe Bryant, who spent his whole career basically not being injured, and then at the end, it's like them shits were coming in force, one after the other, and then you look at LeBron, who took the same path as Kobe, where you come straight out of high school, you've been in the league for damn near 20 years, and he barely had an injury his whole career that made him miss, he never really, I mean, he's had injuries, he might miss a week here or, 45 games or whatever. And then he had that groin injury. And then, so, I get it, man. I get it, especially if you're trying to play long,
That doesn't condone it. That's bullshit. I know one thing. They better get out there and practice, because the Nets, man, the motherfuckers look like a problem.
Well, they just blew the Nets out last night.
Yeah, but they allegedly blew
Kyrie,
the Nets out.
Kyrie and Kyrie and what's his name, Schroeder got ejected in the game. Like the Lakers were leading the whole game, and then that happened. They just blew the doors wide open. It just lets you know, though, the Nets bench without Kyrie or Harden and just KD ain't gonna do shit.
You're basically saying that the score wasn't indicative of the game that we watched.
No, it was. They was beating the shit out of them.
Yeah, but I think there's a little more to it than that, right? They lost Kyrie. Either way, in a 7-game series, anyone can win one, anyone can blow one out. That team is stacked, man, with Marcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin and the three big guns. So I mean, Blake Griffin made a point he said everybody's bitching and complaining about, them loading up with alleged star power, but just a year ago, everybody was saying that Blake Griffin was washed. So he got a point. He got a big point there for me. I like it. NBA is trash though. There's some top-loaded teams thanks to LeBron James starting this years ago. Eventually, we'll get back, hopefully, to people that want to actually work to win, like Dame Lillard and stuff.
I hate to say it, but I'm gonna predict that the Heat are gonna come out of the East.
Somebody check his
It
temperature. He thinks
pains.
he
I
got
mean,
COVID.
I hate the Heat, but these guys with Jimmy Butler, these guys were at the bottom without him. He comes back, they go on a tear, and it's like defensively, just automatically, just bench wise. To me, I think they just got the best product. Like the Nets can score, but they don't play defense. So I hate to say it, man.
The Heat can't beat Milwaukee
They beat
in
Milwaukee,
7.
Milwaukee can't beat anyone but themselves.
The Heat can't beat Milwaukee in 7.
I disagree.
I mean,
they beat them in 7 last year.
right? What year is it? Why do we always got to start living in the past?
It was just last year.
Yeah, I mean that it's
But it's
not like
different
that.
teams.
How much different is that Milwaukee team?
Same team.
It's pretty different. They got different pieces.
Okay.
They too now have some young white men on their team that can do some that can play pretty good.
Milwaukee ain't going nowhere.
Listen, Miami is not a team that's making anybody say, you know what, besides you know what, Miami might be the team to watch for in the East. There ain't nobody saying that.
Okay.
Nobody's saying that. Not saying that they can't sneak past somebody in 7, but listen, it's gonna be a tough task for them to beat that Brooklyn team when they're fucking clicking on all cylinders. When KD gets back to KD and he's putting up 30 a game, Kyrie's giving him 25, Harden is out there fucking 14 assists. That's a whole different team, man. And it's 7 games. He might beat them in 1. They might even get 2. They're not getting 4 out of 7. It's not happening.
Philly without Embiid is a whole different team. Boston is barely holding on.
Is Embiid back yet?
Nope.
I thought he was.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I didn't see that yesterday, but
I think he's been questionable rather than out recently, so he should be back soon. But yeah, I agree with you. And now Ben Simmons is back to Ben Simmons that we knew. Like the beginning of the season, he looked really good. I mean, he was making it happen. He could, pass. He was playing really, really good defense. But the Knicks, man. The Knicks, I think they're gonna sneak in the playoffs. I don't think they're gonna win the East, but I like watching the Knicks now. They're young, they play defense. That's the big piece to it, man. You go in there and they're stopping people, they're shutting people down. What's homeboy's name? That y'all got from New Orleans? Was it New Orleans? No, that you got from the Lakers.
Julius Randle.
Julius Randle. I like him. He's getting back to what he was when he was at Kentucky. He's starting to look dominant in the paint, even for an undersized guy. So I like what he's doing for you guys.
I like what we got.
I think sometimes NBA teams, they, defense seems to be like underrated in the NBA. You got games that are going 100 to 112 or whatever. You know what I mean? And people may think like defense is not a huge component, but that shit is big. And like thinking about that, I think back to like when LeBron first came to Miami, and they went to the first fucking camp, and LeBron was like, when he did his media thing or whatever, he was kind of shocked because when they got there, all they did was defense or whatever. And he was like, yo, what the fuck? You know what I mean? But like, that's how you win. You got to be able to stop motherfuckers. Like, people going to get off, but at some point you got to stop them from scoring to win the game. You know what I mean? It's not just outgun them and and you just try to win this 3 point battle or whatever. You got to stop them from taking some shots. You know.
That was a good
Mhm.
defensive team. With Wade on ball, LeBron on ball, Bosh has never been a defensive slouch. That was a very good defensive team. People don't realize that. But going back to the Knicks, though, I'm just happy that we're doing way better than we were projected. I think we can make the playoffs if we stop losing these games late. Like they lost 4 games like in the last 3 seconds in the fourth quarter. Um, RJ Barrett, I think is going to be good. I think we got to stick with him because the kid is good. Quickly, who we got from trading Morris or somebody or Porzingis, he's going to be good. I think we got a good young core. I don't think Thibodeau is the answer long term because defense is seemingly all he has. But the coach I think for us is probably never going to get another job ever again. So
Who that?
Mark Jackson. I think Mark Jackson is still, even after years of not being in the league coaching, I think he's one of the best guys. He is the sole reason why the Warriors are anything today. When Steph Curry and Klay Thompson were about to get shipped out the league, he told them, "Look, I got you. Just follow my lead. Do what I tell you to do." They had that run, and then he got fired. So, but I hope the Knicks make the playoffs. We'll lose probably, but I hope we make it competitive.
The Warriors are the Warriors because Mark Jackson saw that Steph Curry was the pick over Monte Ellis.
Yeah.
Because there was a decision to be made between which light skinned guy you were keeping, whether it was going to be Monte Ellis or Stephen Curry with bad ankles. And he saw something in Steph that clearly we're all seeing today. So Mark Jackson has an eye for talent. That guy, I don't know what it is, man. I wish he would do an interview somewhere or a podcast with fucking Noriega or somebody and tell what the fuck's going on. Like, is he not getting offers? Is he getting lowballed? Is he like, what the fuck's happening, man?
He was on Up in Smoke with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, and
Steven Jackson.
he didn't really say why, but he did express openly like I'm basically waiting for a shot. He said,
Yeah.
because there was that question. Well, he's getting money in the booth. Does he want to coach? No, he made it very clear. He wants to coach. Made it very clear.
Yeah, and
Keep
the
an
booth money ain't nothing like coaching. I mean, he might be making 7 figures, but I mean, as a coach, he'd be pulling in, mid to high 7 figures, whereas in the booth, he might be making like 1.2, 1.3, if that. It might
Nah,
just
he
be
getting
like
more than
mid to
that.
high 6 figures.
Yeah, he getting more than that.
plus. Yeah, he's getting more, but more endorsements, as a coach too. Lots of other stuff, bonuses, incentives, lots of stuff that comes with that.
He's a competitor though. He wants to actually be in the mix. He doesn't want to call the game. He wants to call the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's not a businessman. Um,
Well,
so
I mean,
keep an
if Spoelstra ever retire, we might have a spot for him. We're able to
you have.
recognize talent in Miami.
Oh, I bet. Um,
Yeah,
keep an eye
book
on
club.
Yeah, exactly. Keep an eye on the Bulls, man.
This nigga.
The Bulls. Listen, Zach
And
Levine.
they still lost.
Zach, yeah, but I mean, Kobe put up 81 and they lost.
Yeah, but it's Kobe. Don't we talking about the Bulls? Levine put up 39. I remember you did that when you said that. I was like, oh shit. Then I saw the score. I was like, these niggas still lost. Like,
Well, because he blew his load early. He went 39 in the first half and only put up 50 for the game. So he only scored 11 points in the second half. But anyway, the Bulls are no slouch. They did give up a shitload of picks. I like what the Magic look like for draft picks coming up. These next few years, they are doing what the Dolphins did. So keep an eye on
no
that
Tua.
once these bums, these old bums get out of here, get out of the league. You'll have teams like the Magic that should prosper a bit with these young picks. Anything on the NFL front that we are
Mr.
missing?
Nasty Time. Deshaun Watson. Ooh,
Oh yeah,
Deshaun, you nasty. You're
I'm
nasty.
telling you, man. Deshaun is listen. You can't just take the towel off in the middle of a massage and let it go on your stomach. Like you can't let the blammer go. Like it's not normal. You know what I'm saying? Like say excuse me, excuse yourself, walk out the room, you weirdo.
My
God,
man does his massages from his back.
he's a creep. He's a creep. Yeah, yo,
Yo, son.
yeah. Nah, don't get my back today.
Oh
let's
my
start at let's
god.
start in the belly button area. Fucking
Yo.
so he's starting to lose his endorsements. He was cut from Beats, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Nike also cut him,
Suspended him. Suspended
suspended him.
relations. Yeah.
Those are two of probably the biggest endorsements that he has. And usually when we start to see endorsements get dropped, that means that they've had their legal teams do some backgrounds research on what's going on, and there could be some legitimacy here. You're not
Yeah,
free.
his attorney basically said, you know, stuff has happened, but it's all been consensual. So this guy,
Allegedly.
yeah, this guy. I mean, what's up with these guys that we keep talking about? Like when we talk about Trey Songz, like, bro, NDAs, go to Vegas.
Deshaun's up to what, 22, right? 22 now.
Yeah, I mean
That's why I was like 22, 23, something like that.
they want a court injunction to get a lot of these girls from being anonymous, so he could kind of face his accusers. But golly, man, like go to Vegas, just buy it.
These things is weird, man. Just pay for it. You got lots of money. Everybody has a price. Everybody has a price, and he has a lot of money.
That's
A
what
Not
they
lot.
even.
learned.
It's not even that everybody has a price. I mean, there are people who are in the trade. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, that's my point.
It's not like you
Good
gotta
point, Bart.
go. It's not like you gotta go and start like, yo, what would it take for you know what I mean? Like it's people, you know.
What say a guy would want a massage, but not a
Maybe that's how it
massage?
went. Hey, I'm just about there. I got about 500 in my pocket. What you think? Oh, towel slip. Too late.
That's exactly how it went. That's precisely how it went. And I mean, they had a price. The dude hit him on social media, said, "Drop 100K and we'll make it go away." And
Damn.
here we are.
Well, they said Backpage is back, so if Backpage is back, you can find some people there, get it moving again, get it shaking.
But I mean, you know, but like I was saying though, man, like I mean, I get what you're saying or whatever, but like at that level, you don't got to be on no back page or whatever. They got, you know, you can get an exclusive. I'm pretty sure they do massages. You know what I'm saying?
Should have
Like,
hollered at crafts people.
right? Yeah, well, nah.
No,
Yeah, maybe
no.
not.
Okay.
Nah.
Stop Asian hate, EJ.
I wait. I just wait. No. Yeah, terrible. Terrible, yo.
That whole thing is just insane to me. The crafty situation, yo. I'm like, I mean, we're talking about Deshaun Watson money, like crap. You on a team, you know what I mean? like you shouldn't be in no goddamn massage parlor, yo. Like you know they got people you can talk to who do that kind of shit. You know what I mean? I mean, like imagine like if you ever read it in the stories on like JFK, you know, he had the Secret Service bringing him to the White House and shit. You know what I mean? You know, they had like a whole routine like on how to bring them in the unmarked cars and get them out without the media seeing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on, dog. Like, it's ways to do these kind of things if you're into that kind of thing, and it's people who are willing to do it, you know, and be discreet and all that kind of shit like that. Like, yeah, that shit is insane, man. It's in fucking insane.
And ask the people ahead of you. There's other stars in the league that I'm sure into some weird shit like that.
Yeah.
Just ask them, like, yo, dog, you know where I can, I can get something popping here.
You know?
You know, I have better games if the night before I get a massage. You guys know anybody here in Jersey that could hook me up before we play the Jets tomorrow?
Yeah.
Like
What?
something, man.
Like shit, my homegirl always says she likes LeBron, she don't trust him. She was like, she can't believe it's been all these years and he's just been loyal to Savannah.
He's smart. Smart.
Like,
Listen,
hey,
man. LeBron probably got a 1,000-page contract before you come in his fucking hotel room as a groupie. 1,000 pages. That motherfucker too smart. I would listen. You got to sign every one of these pages. You're gonna have carpal tunnel by the time we finish. But guess what? It's gonna be a good night. Oh man, shit. What else? Anything else going on? We have any verses coming up? I know we got. I think Method Man and Redman is the next one. I'll probably watch. I'll definitely watch that. Redman's one of my favorite artists.
Yeah, I like Redman.
It was good to see the overwhelming amount of love though that was out there for DMX from the industry and from people in general. So that was a good thing to see.
Yeah.
You know, I damn 17 kids though. I didn't know he had. I didn't know he had
I didn't know that
17.
either.
I knew there was a lot.
That.
I didn't know he was up to 17. But and then also the video of his daughter. Did you see the video of him and his daughter on the slingshot here in Orlando?
Yeah, I saw it. You had posted that in the chat. I saw it.
Yeah, that was pretty dope too, man. Just to kind of see like his consoling voice is the same as his rap voice. You know what I'm saying? So pretty dope.
I got you.
Man, but,
It's all good.
Yeah, exactly.
Man. Yeah, it's been. Yeah, I looked online at it. Looks like upcoming is going to be the Method Man and or Redman versus. Yeah, Redman Method Man, right?
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's been a other than that stuff, man. It's been an okay week, I guess, man.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. Now we're getting some rain here. That's finally a good thing.
Yeah, they say it's supposed to be a severe thunderstorm watch here until I think it's at 4 p.m. The last advisory I saw.
Yeah, it's pouring over here. It started raining when I was at work yesterday, and I almost forgot what the fuck it was. Like it hasn't rained here in so long. So
yeah,
yeah, we need that.
Yeah,
sucks though. I need to go car shopping.
And shit, the other thing I missed, I actually meant to bring it up when we were talking about the politics shit, is that Biden took some action this week on guns. He signed some executive orders that are supposed to try to stop the sale of so-called ghost guns. These are guns that people can make with like 3D printers. There are also kits that you can order online where you can just put a gun together at home. It has no serial number and things like that, which is why it's called ghost guns. And then the Attorney General ordered the ATF to conduct a study on gun violence and things like that in the country, so that way we can have some data to work from to understand kind of what the problem is, so we know we can come up with a solution and that kind of thing. So nothing major. The biggest things on guns would have to come from Congress or whatever. Any action the president can take on his own is always going to be like tinkering around the edges or whatever. So, but it's a start. So we'll see what happens there, even though I don't think much will.
Yeah, we'll see. They just got to start lightly, man. Get some additional long-term testing, regular testing. Like my shit, good for 8 years after I renew it. It's like a fucking passport. You know what I'm saying? In 8 years, you could go through a divorce. You could fucking you could lose family members. There could be a lot of trauma in your life. You could go through a pandemic. You know what I'm saying? To where you're just not right anymore. So they just gotta start checking people, man. If nothing else, start checking people more, make you renew more.
And what you're saying makes total sense, right? But this week in Tennessee, they passed a bill that takes away like the testing portion and training to get concealed carry. So now you can just apply for it, and then boom, you got it. Once you apply and meet whatever qualifications they have in that state for concealed carry, that's it. You don't got to do no 2-hour, 3-hour training or whatever it is. It's just you apply, they stamp your shit approved, and boom, now you got concealed carry. Tennessee is also the state a couple of years ago that allowed for you to do concealed carry in bars. You couldn't do that before in that. And obviously you don't want motherfuckers who are intoxicated also, with loaded weapons. And in some states, you're not allowed to conceal carry if you've been consuming alcohol or whatever, like in Ohio, for example, is a state like that. But Tennessee's like, yeah, fuck that, alcohol and guns.
Yeah.
Let's treat it like it's fucking the old Wild West and
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. Next up, school zones. Why not?
You know, so so in a lot of places, because guns are mainly regulated on the state level, we're actually moving backwards. You know what I mean? So, and I don't think that that's unreasonable what you're saying, to say, hey, every so often, you got to get checked just to make sure you're good. And where it seems that in this country we're unwilling to do that. So it's gonna be a tough issue for a long time to come.
Yeah. I'm just gonna load up on the old arsenal before before we get to that point. Um, and as we talk about it, and I told you guys the same thing. Like I went to Costco last week and a couple other places, and as I go out, after seeing all the shit and people popping off, you just feel you don't feel I don't feel comfortable going in without the blame on the hit. You know what I'm saying? Or somewhere close by. I got an in pocket holster now, which is amazing for this little guy that I'm carrying, but you don't feel comfortable anymore, man. And I know it's rare that, and probably we've never, very rare that we've seen that anytime something like that happens and just an innocent civilian makes a difference, but it just makes you feel a little more comfortable, man. A little more comfortable, especially after January 6th took place.
Yeah,
It
man,
seemed,
for sure, man. It's just and the thing that sucks that you have to feel that way is that, one, they've done studies on these things. The whole, nothing stops the bad guy with a gun except the good guy with a gun bullshit or whatever.
right.
And you find that these people don't know what the fuck they're doing, and they pull out their guns, and you're in the fog of war, and so now you got your gun out just trying to protect yourself and those around you, maybe, and then somebody thinks that you're the perpetrator, and they start coming at you or whatever, and maybe the cops think that you're the person, so it's just like I always say anytime we have this conversation, whether it's online, offline, is that part of the problem is the guns or whatever. We have so many fucking guns in this country. We have more guns than people in this country. I think we're approaching something like 360, 370 million guns for the 330 million people that are in the country. That's fucking insane, yo.
Yeah. Yep.
United States is 4 point, I think it's like 4.5%, 4.4.5% of the world's population, and over half the guns in the world are in this country. 4% of the population, world population, half the world guns.
Yeah. But like drugs, we have to think of how they got here as well. Yeah. All right. So what else? EJ, anything else popping this week? No?
No, nothing on my agenda other than the I guess what to watch.
Yeah. What you guys been watching? Anything new?
I binged this show on Amazon called Invincible. It's an animated superhero comic adaptation, pretty good. And then I started watching the series Them. It's on Amazon. It's kind of like a Jordan Peele type spinoff from Lena, the lady that created The Shy. It horrible. I didn't like it. I stopped watching it.
Really?
Yeah, I stopped watching it. It's just it's people trying to capitalize. It's basically set on in the 50s, black family dealing with racism and other mental health things. It's just a play on black folks trauma. Add some music to it and sprinkle it and call it good. No, it's not good at all. It's not even entertaining to me.
You know
Uh,
what's funny, EJ, is that I saw the previews and I thought, I might want to check this out. And then I read some of the reviews from like black TV critics, and basically what you're saying is exactly how it was described. It's a play on black trauma. Black family moves into an all white neighborhood, and I think they moved from like North Carolina to Cali, if I'm not mistaken,
it's
into
Compton.
this
Yep.
all white, yeah, to Compton, all white neighborhood, and it's basically, from what I read about it, the season is essentially, we don't like your kind around here. Go. That's essentially what the show is about.
Constantly, and then you add the Jordan Peele twist to it. So there's elements of it like, oh, is there something really going on? Like, is there some demonic thing going on? And it's like it's not good. It's not put together well at all.
Mm.
I got to get back to Snowfall, man. I'm so far behind on that thing, and I keep seeing it pop up on my timeline and stuff like that. So I definitely got to get back to that. You've been watching that, EJ?
Yes, I have, and I don't know. I don't know if the death of John Singleton has impacted things at all, but just the timeline of events and just knowing historically what this is based off, I don't see how much further this is gonna go. Um, not without getting into the show, but it's definitely some good drama and cliffhangers to it right now. And the Mayans have returned. I don't know if anybody was watching that. Mayans came back on. That's been pretty strong. And Queen of the South had her season premiere on Wednesday. I've been a fan of that show since it came out, and it's gonna be interesting to see where that goes. So some good TV.
Somebody reminded me of Queen of the South, so I got another one that I got to catch up on. Don't get Vari started on the Mayans. He don't like good TV. He likes Breaking Bad and fucking Rat Race or some shit. What's that shit called that you be watching, VP?
Rat Race.
Yeah, like
Amazing,
Oh,
the
Amazing
Amazing
Race.
Race.
I haven't watched that in a
yeah,
few seasons, but yeah, I used to like that show.
weirdo. You been watching anything, VP?
Not anything new. I watched something I actually had already seen before, but I don't know why I like it's the Hateful Eight, the Quentin Tarantino joint with Samuel Jackson and Kurt Russell or
I
whatever.
like that.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. It popped up on the recommendations or whatever. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
watched it again, and I don't know. It's I've seen it. I've seen it like twice before, but I like that movie for some reason.
Oh, another quick one that I just watched. It's called Two Strangers, or man, it's a short film. It's on Netflix. It's Strangers is in the title, but it's Joey Badass. It's like a 30-minute film, but it's basically about this kid who keeps waking up, like Groundhog's Day meets racist cop, basically. And it's a
I
short
saw the
30-minute
preview
film.
for that. It's like one part they're like in a diner, another part they're like getting stopped on the road. Like they keep running. It's the same cop, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the kid is getting ready to go to college or something like that.
They don't really get that in depth into all of that actually, but it's like Groundhog's Day meets a racist cop every day, and it's a short film. It's 30 minutes, and I think it
Yeah,
was actually Oscar nominated too.
yeah. I saw the preview for that.
hmm It's pretty. It had a good meaning ending to it.
And it was something with a camera in it, right? If I remember correctly.
A camera, a
Like
camera.
he had like a camera where he could like. Is Sanaa Lathan in it?
Nah.
Okay, then we're not talking about we're not talking about the same one.
Nah, nah.
We're not talking about the same.
Yo, you funny, man. You're a funny guy, VP. You don't even know it. This guy.
No, because I seen a preview with, and I believe it's Sanaa Lathan. Like she's taking her son to college, and they're leaving like this diner, and they see this cop, and then he pulls them over later, and then like the kid ends up getting shot, and then like she wakes up, and they're like back in the diner again, and then so she goes like a different way, and it's the same cop, the kid gets shot, and then this time it's instead of stopping at the diner, they bypass the diner and then get stopped by the same cop, and it keeps happening like over and over again. And so that's, but I remember having Sanaa Lathan, the thing I'm talking about.
You crazy. You guys guess what I've been watching?
The
Sopranos.
Sopranos.
The Sopranos, man. I forget how good that series is, man. I'm gonna go back to some other series, but I forgot Ralph was letting Janet get up in there, get in them guts. I forgot that part to it. That was a funny piece that just came up. I'm at a point now where AJ's growing up. going into the city, the Meadows dorm to try and get some buns. And that's not quite working out. But I know Ralph is going to be gone soon. And things are going good. They got Adriana with the feds right now, so she won't be around much longer. So
I
I
meant
got a couple more seasons.
I meant to send you an
Long-term
interview.
parking.
I meant to send you an article where she spoke about her time there and how she's on this new show called Paradise City, which is basically about an '80s rock group. And I guess they named it off of the Guns N' Roses track Paradise City. But basically,
Gotcha.
she was just talking about her experiences in The Sopranos, and it was funny because the person writing the article was talking about how she was basically cursing out her kids on Zoom. So I meant to send you that because it was just timely, and you watching and catching up and stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna get. I mean, listen, I look forward to the new one. I want to see what they're gonna do with that. You said that Christopher's father is supposed to be part of that one, right? Story about that, or was that just a suggestion that you
No,
had?
he's definitely gonna be casted in this one as it's a prequel. So he's definitely supposedly gonna be alive, and they'll probably tell how he got killed, because that was a big part of the storyline,
Yeah,
supposedly.
Excellent.
Dicky
So
Maltasanti. That's Chris's dad's name.
What he said.
yeah, okay, okay.
Can you tell I've seen The Sopranos a few times?
A lot of times, nigga, a lot. You should not be able to quote every episode that I'm watching.
Yeah,
You
that's
have a
what I was telling
problem.
you when you talking about Adriana going to the feds. I was like that long term parking episode's coming up soon
Yeah, you watch a lot of stuff multiple times.
because you catch stuff, man. Like
Yeah.
I think I've seen The Sopranos the whole series maybe 5 or 6 times. And I remember like maybe the second to last, or maybe the last time I saw it, I actually caught something that I had never. Obviously, I've heard it before. I've seen it, multiple times. But there's a scene when Tony's talking to Uncle Junior, and he says, if Ralph was drowning, I'd throw him a cinder block.
Oh, I just missed that one, or not missed that. I just watched that one.
Right, and then you fast forward when AJ tries to commit suicide, he ties a cinder block to his leg to try to hold himself under the pool, and it was like when I saw it, I'm like, yo, they, like 2 seasons ago, it's funny how it happened that way or whatever. And the thing that I felt like they missed, like I wish they would have did a callback to that, or maybe like him talking to.
All right. He must have lost power because it's raining here.
Yeah.
EJ. Okay. Also, sleeping with the fishes is a thing. So cinder blocks on their feet is probably pretty common with with a mafia portrayed TV show. All right. So I haven't been watching anything else. Anything coming out? Well, I gotta finish. I gotta catch up with you guys on
Milfy, and
Hey yo, we didn't hear nothing you said, brother.
nothing.
I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him. This time I am gonna push him. I'm gonna push your ass.
Oh
You
man, that's funny.
you froze up and then just popped in.
Who, me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you froze in and it was like MILF.
Yeah.
Nah, yo, on my side, y'all froze. So Steve was like, I was thinking, and then it just paused, and so I started talking, like thinking, let me feel the time.
Oh nah, yeah.
That's how the internet
It's
works.
probably we got a thunderstorm going on here, EJ, in Orange County, man. Severe
Yeah,
thunderstorm
it's raining
warnings.
Well,
pretty hard by my house now. So
Yeah, me too.
but you were gonna say something else, EJ? Winter Soldier, I gotta catch up on with you
man, that
guys.
has been so good. Oh,
Yeah, I'm behind on
you
that.
might as well just
I mean,
wait.
there's gonna
You might as well just wait 2 more weeks.
till they finish it.
Yeah,
I know that's what I'm
you
thinking.
might as well just wait. It's been phenomenal, yo.
I'm gonna take a
Oh,
day and just watch shit. I'm gonna take a day and just watch it. Just go sit somewhere by myself and just fucking watch TV.
They finally got it right. I know WandaVision was good, but I know WandaVision had an impact on everything, but it to me it wasn't that. Actually, I was entertained, but it wasn't that great. But this Winter Soldier and Falcon is phenomenal. I mean, I have some gripes with some things, but I mean, it's been excellent. But bad thing is, it's only 6 episodes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, 6 episodes. These are what 45 minutes a piece. Ultimately, 45, 50 minutes a
They
piece.
might, they might be, yeah, it might be about 45 to 50 minutes, but nah, bruh,
So technically, we're getting 2 movies.
nah,
You know what I
bruh.
mean?
I mean,
We get 6 hours
when you
content.
consider though, the average show, especially from a off, not we're not talking about just regular TV, we talking about on the app. This joint, nah, they could have gave us more, man. Because this, I'm gonna be
You just
upset.
you're just a
I'm
brat.
gonna be upset.
Next time they're gonna break it into 30 minutes and give us 12 episodes, and you're gonna be like, ah, fuck, finally 12 episodes, same
Listen,
amount of time though.
when you start watching it, you're gonna see why. You're gonna see why.
Yeah.
You're gonna see
Do you
why.
think that?
Uh,
Do you think that? Because I haven't watched any of it, WandaVision or Falcon Winter Soldier. But do you think that in the larger MCU, it will mean not necessarily mean anything, but like have an impact? Like, oh, you didn't see Falcon or the Winter Soldier, so you don't understand, this Infinity Stone storyline. Or I mean, I know we're done with Infinity Stones, but you get my point or whatever.
WandaVision is definitely and most certainly gonna have an impact on the larger MCU. What Falcon and Winter Soldier uh it's gonna tell some branch offs. It's gonna tell some things. Um, but timing, actually no. I mean, actually, I think it's because I think they're trying to run them parallel. I don't think they're doing a great job of telling the specific timing, but I have a feeling that Falcon and Winter Soldier is taking place in between the time WandaVision is going on, and then certain things haven't happened yet in Falcon and Winter Soldier that we know have happened in WandaVision that have impacted everybody. I think they're going to end it off that way. So I think
Mhm.
ultimately everything that you see happen on both these series will have a lasting impact in the MCU. And then Loki's coming with a series in June. I think
Yeah,
that will be something that will operate independently of itself and be something that chronologically happened for Loki before Endgame. But yeah, I
gotcha.
definitely think these two series will have a vast impact on the MCU.
yeah, I think I'm sure Loki will. I'm sure that's gonna probably play some type of part. But yeah, I want to watch. I definitely got to watch these things. I got to get back to them and catch up, man, because you guys have conversation and we can't finish. Pause. So let's go ahead and so we don't run too long. I'm gonna hand the reins over to Le VP of he's just here. Just his initials now. Cause he don't
The
research
VP
shit.
of misinformation.
Yeah. Right.
Hey, man,
Killer.
I
That's
can't.
what we're gonna call you from now.
My sources put out bad information, man.
Yeah, they did.
So
No surprise. No surprise.
there's a day early and a dollar short.
Yeah.
So, but everybody, we definitely appreciate you guys rocking with us on this week's episode of the Castworthy podcast. We definitely appreciate those of you who stopped by to listen live, whether on Facebook or the YouTube channel. We definitely always appreciate the love and support there. If you're here, go ahead and drop a like, leave a comment. That helps us reach more people with these algorithms on YouTube and Facebook, etc. So if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and drop us a like, leave a comment. You can subscribe, share, and follow. You can also listen to the podcast on any of your podcasting platforms, whether it's Spreaker, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Plus, like the YouTube channel I mentioned earlier. Just search Castworthy. On social media, you can follow us at Castworthy. On Instagram, it's at Castworthy_podcast. And as always, try to remain socially distanced if you can. If you got to go out, wear a mask. Get vaccinated when it's your turn. I am about 3 weeks, I think now. 3 weeks since I got fully vaccinated. I'm fine, no symptoms, no problems. Steve has also been vaccinated partially at this point. He hasn't seemed to have any problems either. So these vaccines seem to be safe. The FDA has actually just got a request from Pfizer to look at their data in vaccinating 12 to 15-year-olds. So it may be possible for the kids to get a vaccine, and so just think about that impact on parents with schools getting ready to close and have to reopen again in the fall. So please consider getting vaccinated when it's your turn. Finally, look at again. Appreciate you guys rocking with us. Appreciate the support, and we love you. We will see you on the next one. Peace.